Ooh, what's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
This is our spoiler chat for all... Really? Really?
Sorry.
Wow. Let me check to make sure mine's turned off. It's not. This is our spoiler chat for all 9 episodes of Star Wars Visions. We get Nerdy Nightly.
And we thought we'd share it with you.
That is right. We are back. There hasn't been a lot of content on the channel. Sorry, I have been recovering from a bout of... There's a video about it. Go watch that if you want to know. But I feel a lot better today. And so we're sitting down to make a video about Star Wars Visions, the anime anthology series that just came to Disney Plus from... I think it's 8 studios. Made 9 episodes because Studio Trigger did 2 of the episodes in the thing.
It also looks like Science... No.
Yeah, Science Star made 2
yes.
as well. So it must be 7 studios made 9? Interesting. But it dropped on Disney Plus on Wednesday, and we watched all 9 of them. And then we watched them again in Japanese. Because... Let's talk about this, because I wanted to watch it in Japanese first, because I prefer subtitles when I watch foreign things. But you wanted to watch the dubs first.
Yeah.
Because you have a hard time with subtitles.
Yeah. For me personally, if it... I have a hard time when there are words on the screen looking away from the words, which I know sounds wild. But especially for something like this where it's about the art style and the visuals of it, I didn't want to be distracted by the words for the first time, because I know myself, and it's the words are there, I look at them and I just keep reading them over and over again, and I don't know why, but it's difficult for me to like pull my focus from them, which is why generally I watch dubs, even though honestly, and I do enjoy when I see the subtitles and it's in the original language. I think that there's a lot of value there, and so I'm like, don't come for me. I have a lot of appreciation for it. It's just like, for me personally, I don't know why. It's just a very difficult thing. I'm
not coming for you. I'm only asking because I wanted to talk about it, because I think it is interesting. I think that there is like, I think that subtitles are not for everyone, because it can be hard to kind of like do both. And in this case, when we were trying to decide, because I didn't want to watch it first without you and then again with you, I wanted to watch it together the first time, and I was like, well, if you're gonna get more out of it dubbed and you're gonna be distracted, like if the subtitles are like, I don't know, I felt like that was, you got more out of it being dubbed than I lost.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And to be honest, I now that we've seen both, they're both fantastic. Like, I think that one thing I will say about this Star Wars Visions, and I don't know about the other languages, but it's really clear to me how much care they put into both the original language Japanese versions as well as the dubs. The dubs in this are all so strong, and honestly, the sound design across all of the shorts is really solid.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
There weren't really any moments where I was like, this voice seems really out of place, or like it doesn't work.
The B1 battle droids in Japanese is one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. And I kind of want, moving forward, for the battle droid, if any future Star Wars, it's probably going to be in English unless they do like season 2 of Visions, but please allow the battle droids to just be in Japanese from now on, and then just have the battle droids be subtitled, because like great. Roger in Japanese out of a battle droid brought me more joy than I thought it would. Like that was like, I was like, oh, that's great.
Fair enough.
But there's a lot great about this. Before we get in, we're going to go into each episode in order here, I think.
Yeah.
But before we do that, I just like, as a whole, this was such a like, I want to say this was so joyful, and what an treat. What an incredible thing they've done. I really think that for the most part, I think the episodes are pretty fantastic. You know, and we'll talk about the ones that maybe didn't work as much for us. But you know, over the course of 9 episodes, for there to be so many highlights, and for, you know, Star Wars things that I never thought I would ever get to see, but now that I have, I'm like, oh, that's so Star Wars. I think they did such a good job. I really, really loved this, and the sitting through it was just such a joy.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about letting people's creativity run wild and not having to keep it into the box of this is Star Wars and it has to be canon and this is what's allowed and not allowed, because you get beautiful gems like this. They don't have to have the weight of supporting the rest of the franchise. They can just be their own thing, and I love when we get stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the decision to make this not have to be canon was really smart.
Yeah.
Because the creativity here is really high.
Yeah,
and
you can do whatever you want.
I would love to see Star Wars kind of repurpose some of these things back into canon. Especially the second episode, we'll get to it. There's stuff from that I would love to see them work with.
Yeah.
But I just think that, I really, really, really positive all around, I think.
Yeah.
Is there any, before we get into individual episodes, is there any overall stuff you want to talk about?
No, generally overall, I think we talked about subs and dubs, and we talked about, I think that the main point I wanted to make was that when you cut those strings, they don't have to, get it out of the box. It's really amazing what people can come up with, so. Yeah,
especially, considering, before we get into it, it is worth noting, there is a conversation happening online. I've seen it on Twitter of people being like, well, Star Wars, this was too Japanese culture influence. This isn't Star Wars. And I find that so, what's the kind way of saying it?
Moronic. That's
what I was avoiding.
Yeah.
I find that to be very interesting to hear, because it tells me that the people who are claiming to be these big Star Wars fans don't understand anything about how it came about. And they're so gatekeepy, and they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. And I'm like, if you're a Star Wars fan and you've never seen The Seven Samurai, I don't really think that you should be telling anyone else how they should enjoy Star Wars.
Yeah.
If you have not taken any time in your life to go back and understand why George Lucas was inspired by these Japanese artists who were inspired by Western artists. There's a lot of those films that are inspired by the early what's his name? He said Pilgrim all the time. I'm
bad with names.
Not Ford.
Ford?
Yeah, he talked about he's like Pilgrim.
You
guys know who I'm talking about. The famous Western guy, whatever. His movies inspired samurai movies, and samurai movies inspired Star Wars. That's a circle of this. And if you're like one of those guys who's like, I love Star Wars. Star Wars is just Star Wars. It's just its own thing. Nothing inspired it. I don't know what to tell you.
It's not how art works.
It's not how anything. It's just not how anything works. And so but it was so nice to see the culture that inspired so much of the iconography of Star Wars.
The Jedi costumes.
Bring it back to their culture a little bit. Yeah.
You can't,
the Jedi.
You can't look and
Darth Vader.
Not, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Darth Vader is his helmet is the shape of the samurai helmet. If you don't look at the silhouette of Darth Vader and immediately go, oh yeah, they saw a samurai and they made him evil.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like. Anyway, let's move on to the individual episodes. Starting with number 1, The Duel. Mm-hmm. This was created by Kamikaze Duga. It's a black and white-ish short.
Yeah, color is used very creatively, which is fun.
Yeah, only in light sources, right? Mm-hmm. Throughout the thing, obviously the droid has some color in it, and the lightsabers and the blaster bolts in this episode have color. This is the story of a lone wanderer, a very Western and samurai trope, who comes to a small town that is besieged by marauders, a story we've never seen in Star Wars before.
Ever. Completely brand new, not inspired by anything content.
But the twist on the episode is there's a Sith, and he's got a fighter, and he does. Turns out he's also a Sith, and he's a Sith hunting Sith person. And I knew I loved the episode the whole time, because this was one of my favorites, honestly. I think in terms of the combat, in terms of the art style, in terms of creativity, the droid with the straw hat was just one of my favorite design choices.
Yeah.
But the moment where he says the line, no, unfortunately, I'm not a Jedi, I was like, I love it. I'm in.
Yeah, I'm into it. Yeah, definitely one of my favorites. I loved the art style in this, but interestingly enough, I don't know how much more I could watch in it.
Oh, and I hear what you're saying.
I found it hard to watch, but not in a not enjoyable way. I just don't think I could watch a 90-minute film like that.
Is it because it's like too much motion?
Maybe. I couldn't put my finger on it. I loved it, but it was just like a lot to look at a time, and which testament I think to the artists who created this. It was stunning.
It is definitely the one that I was like, how did you do this?
Yeah.
And they're all kind of like that. Like the art style across all of them is pretty impressive. But that was definitely the one where I was the most like, but how did you do this?
Yeah. Yeah.
I do want to bring up Lucy Liu, voiced the Sith mistress or
the umbrella. Mary Poppins.
Her name was Bandit Leader.
No, it's Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins. But yeah, the wonderful Lucy Liu. Also, Brian T. voiced Ronan, the lead guy there. And the village chief was voiced by Jaden Waldman and Yuko Sanpai. Mm-hmm. In Japanese, it was Masaki Torasoma, Akino Watanabe, and Yuko Senpai for that one. Mm-hmm. And this was the introduction to the series, right? This was your first one. And I think it was really smart of them to put this one up front. One of the things I think the Duel does really well, that some of the future ones, and we'll talk about it when we get to them, don't do as well in my opinion, is this is a contained story. Mm-hmm. Some of the other ones feel like pilots for longer stories, whereas this really does feel like a one-shot story. I don't really want to know what happened before and after. I'm not really interested. This is I
am
this moment in time.
Yeah.
And it played with, the lightsaber umbrella was such a creative and cool new concept for Star Wars. It wasn't Sebulba, but the Sebulba's race guy who was in the gunner pod, whatever you would call it. It looked like Sebulba inside of a probe droid, or the needle droid from the Death Star, flying around. I was like, this is that. I want more of that character. If I'm getting more of anyone from this episode, it's that guy.
Yeah.
In terms of introduction, I thought this was such a smart move. It is, in my opinion, one of the stronger episodes.
Yep, I would agree.
The moment where Ronan catches the lightsaber between his hands.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Unbelievable.
Breathtaking.
It reminded me of the first time I saw Kylo Ren catch the laser bolt in Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of playing with what someone who really trusts the Force can do. Mm-hmm. Loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved it. My top 3 for sure.
Mm-hmm. Sound design also. This was the first time we were like, oh, the sound design in this is fantastic. Because it set us off on the right path in almost every way. Yeah,
100%. And like you said, I think it was definitely a strong choice to put first, because it feels very Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
This one feels very, very Star Wars.
This one could easily be canon.
Yeah. 100%. These characters and this place, this could easily be canon. The themes in it, it all just felt very Star Wars, whereas some of the other later ones don't
deviate
as
further?
Much. They deviate further, I think is a good way to say it. So yes, like I said, solid choice to, I think, put first.
Next up was surprisingly one of my favorites. When this episode started, I did not think I was going to like it.
I was the same. I was like, oh
but
no.
It is by far, in my opinion, the weirdest of the episodes, in terms of choices made. Mm-hmm. But I think brilliant. So this one's Tatooine Rhapsody. It was made by Studio Colorido, and I really this thing just dug into my heart and brought me so much joy. I
mean, maybe because we're not musicians, but we're we do musical theater, so music is kind of part of our life. but it wasn't. But it's not even that. It's that this is the only one that told a story that at no point was ever really about action. There's a couple of action sequences more early on. Yeah. But the thrust of this story wasn't about we have to get in the fight, or that it's me against you, or this or that, right? The thrust of this really was we are a unit.
we love each other.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do this thing together. And they're, you know, whether it's music or whatever ties a group of friends together, like this was really just a small story about a group of friends who would go to the absolute end of the earth for someone.
Yeah.
And I thought they did that so effectively. And
yeah.
when they show up at Jabba's palace at the end to get their friend back, we haven't talked about the plot at all, but when they do show up, you're like, I get it. Like,
yeah, 100%.
That's your guy. You got to.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the Rockstar hut. I want a Funko Pop.
Oh God, yeah, I need it. Honestly, the shot of the shot of coming to like Tatooine when you first see it is beautiful. I was like, what am I watching?
Yeah, when you first come into the raceway.
Yeah. And you're like, I know what this is. you're like, this is so cool, right?
Yeah, I really was hoping that we were gonna see like some like references to some like of the pod racers and whatnot. And we got Boba, we got I almost called him Babu Freak. We got freaking Tentacle Face. What's his? I don't know his name.
I know all these people's names. But his little, like, the Jabba's buddy.
I'm fried right now. I'm not remembering anything well. We got a lot of really great references, and I really appreciated that. The plot of this one, the most interesting part of this episode, which we haven't even talked about yet, is that this whole thing starts when our lead character, Jay, who is voiced by Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I did not know that.
In the English version.
So he sang as well?
I don't know if he's the singing voice. I don't have that information in front of me.
Because, like... Yeah, I don't know.
But Joseph Gordon-Levitt, his character Jay, is a Padawan in the Clone Wars who runs away from the Jedi to become a rock star. And I was like, it's never brought up again.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, I want...
What?
But when I was talking earlier about things I want them to use in more canon, I'm really hoping that in Jedi Fallen Order 2, I want Cal Kestis to come across this band at like an event or something. Like I want like them to be in Jedi Fallen Order 2 because it'd be the right timeline, and it would just be really fun for Cal Kestis to have to like have a stealth mission in like a concert where there's like a Rockstar hut playing. I think that would be weird and wonderful and so Star Wars.
I'm into it.
I want it. Bobby Moynihan was playing our lead Rockstar hut. My new favorite character, Geezer. And Boba Fett was voiced by Boba Fett. Tamora Morrison came back to do that voice.
Love it.
Because, of course, he did. He's so cool, and I love him so much. But the plot of this is really just about this hut doesn't want to be a part of the Hut Syndicate, which I get. Like, if...
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, crime is so much work. Being a criminal is so hard. I just want to play guitar, Dad. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm with Geezer on this one. I just want to play guitar with my friends. I don't want to rule the intergalactic hyperspace lines. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it seems like a lot of work.
This is why I'm poor. But, you know, the episode really becomes about the band and the friendship, and they did that so effectively that the episode that for the first 5 minutes I was kind of apprehensive about, I was like, oh no, did they put their best episode first and then it's going to be rough from here on out? This episode got me back to those same heights by the end.
Yeah, for sure. I was the same at the beginning. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. But the song was such a bop.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
It was so good. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one as well. Getting to hear the song in Japanese and in English was great. But it was fantastic. I
wasn't... This might sound insane, but I wasn't expecting it to be the same song, weirdly. But it was. Okay. And I was like, like, the song sounds great. I kind of want to just go back and, like, through all the language options and just listen to the song in a variety of different languages. Now that I've heard it in English and Japanese.
I love that, actually. I kind of want to. But
yeah, I want to, like, go figure out which one's my favorite.
Yeah, but the music was a bop. Like, I'm like, I want to, like, put that on my, like, gym playlist. Like, you know, it was great. Yeah, I love this one.
Next up was The Twins. This one was starring Neil Patrick Harris and Alison Brie.
Okay, I did not know that.
The cast of the show, I didn't know any of these people were in this. I'm not gonna lie. This is so stacked.
I feel like Neil Patrick Harris has like a unique enough voice that I would have recognized it. So I'm just...
He's just talented.
Yeah.
He's just talented.
That
Nothing suits him like a suit. So this is the story of... This was weird.
Yeah,
because it's the story of two twins who were raised on Exegol by Palpatine. And they have 2 Star Destroyers that are attached in the middle by a cannon.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both super evil. Wearing the extra super evil armor.
Yeah.
And then I was super on board at first. So I was like, wow, the design of these 2 is great. When is the Jedi going to show up to fight them? Like, this is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was very like Jaden and Jason Solo, the EU stuff from the books from the original timeline that took place after Return of the Jedi that no longer is canon. And
The only books that I read.
Then it like really quickly just devolved into
nonsense.
Oh, the boy is good, the girl's bad, and they're fighting outside.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know why. Like, I wanted to know why he was good, and I don't feel like we ever got that. And if we'd just gotten that, I think I would have forgiven more of the rest of the, like, weirdness of the fighting outside.
I don't think he was good. I think that he saw that the crystal was going to destroy his sister and wanted to save her. But her commitment to the dark side...
But he specifically has a blue lightsaber.
Yeah? That's question mark.
So he's not using or he's using some. This is the point. Like but this is exactly my point, right? It is all. This episode was like it just kept adding in things that made it more confusing, and then they added in the prophecy moment, which was they're fighting outside, and then he's telling her about a prophecy, but it looks like that happened earlier in time, but then it didn't. Mm-hmm. It was just a very... I couldn't really follow it. And also, they were fighting on the outside of the Star Destroyer.
Yeah, like, they were, like, full, like, no spacesuits, just, like, fighting and, like, talking to each other in the middle of space.
But then...
Like, okay, but then the droid comes
The droid needs an air bubble.
The droid has a helmet on. And we were like, wait, why does the droid need an oxygen helmet, but the people don't? It was weird. I honestly didn't really like this one, which sucks because I agree. I thought the design of the characters was really cool. Like, the first, like, little bit of this episode, I was super duper into. And then they lost me completely. I was like, okay.
Well, and the floppy her having the 6 floppy lightsabers visually wasn't fun. I thought when I saw the trailer for it, when we did the trailer reaction, I thought the 6 lightsaber thing was going to be fun, like the lightsaber whips. But once we were watching the fight, there didn't seem to be none of the choreography made any sense because there didn't seem to be a reasonable way for him to be fighting her off. Mm-hmm. And so I just didn't really at no point in this did I feel like I as the audience had a foothold on what was happening on screen.
Yeah.
Either emotionally or literally physically happening on screen. Which is when you don't have either, it's...
Yeah, which is why it kind of just felt like a bit of nonsense.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because for the visuals of this episode are so beautiful. Like, I really like both of the Sith suits that they have designed are both really beautiful. Mm-hmm. I love the evil C-3PO. I can't... B20N. I really liked that character. I thought that was really fun. I liked a lot of the design. I even liked the double Star Destroyer that looked like the Bespin Cloud cars.
Yeah.
But once I kind of started to tell the story, it never really worked. And then the like hyperdrive super lightsaber blast at the end that crashed through the entire ship but only went through part of her chest plate. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. It wasn't clear.
It was a lot of lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't love this one.
No. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that, right?
Yeah.
The next one, also not our favorite, The Village Bride. This one, The Twins was by Trigger, Studio Trigger.
Yes.
Which is a beloved studio. They will return, don't worry.
Yeah, they're fine.
They'll literally return in this video.
That's true.
They made another video. This one is The Village Bride by Kinema Citrus. This one starred a lot of people who are less famous, but was really well voiced. I really liked the casting in this, and especially for how this one had the most characters. I think this one might have had the most speaking characters. in terms of like perspectives. A lot of these shorts just don't, by being shorts, they don't have a lot of perspectives. This one had a lot of different perspectives, and I did appreciate that.
Yeah.
But this takes place, a Jedi is brought to a planet to witness a ceremony. She doesn't understand why at first. It reveals that the guy who wants her to witness the ceremony is trying to convince her to help fight off bandits who are terrorizing a village by by taking a woman as collateral.
Yeah, they come and say, we're, taking your village elder so that you behave, and she offers herself instead, I believe.
Which is admirable,
yeah,
but stupid.
I mean, yeah, I don't, yeah. But it sucks anyway, you frame it, so.
Oh, 100%. But being like, I'm going to offer myself up, and then you're going to continue to mistreat us forever, but no one's going to do anything because you'll kill me. You're not stopping their behavior.
No, but what else are you supposed to do?
Fight back. I agree with the other sister. I'm fully with the other sister on this. If you let them take you, there is nothing you can do ever without accepting that she's going to get killed. If you choose to fight, you have to choose to fight. There is no other option.
Sure, it doesn't look like those villagers would have stood any kind of a chance and would have all gotten killed.
They were gonna all get killed eventually anyway.
No, it's more profitable for the
100% go down as I would never. I'm going down with a fight 100 times out of 100 here.
I'm shocked.
If you put yourself in a position where someone has something over you, where you can never act out ever, their boot will only press down harder forever.
Yeah.
There is no way that the oppressor will ever take their heel off if they don't have to.
Yep.
And I just agree with the other sister. And I think that if they had planned better, come up with a better strategy, they might have pulled it off. But the sister was like, nah, I give up. Y'all, and here's the thing.
She's like, I'm going to get married and then go off as collateral.
Her life's going to suck. But she is choosing to let her body and self be used by the enemies to mistreat her family forever.
Yeah.
And that's not, it's admirable, but it's not the right call.
Yeah, honestly, at that point, it's like you might as well just like go down fighting, because otherwise your life is going to be absolutely miserable.
Yeah. Every time your family wants to do anything, you're going to be thrown in their face. Mm-hmm. They never get to escape the fact that you were so good.
Yep. But anyways, the story...
it just wasn't as memorable as the others.
No, it wasn't. The Jedi who was brought to the planet, we witnessed this this beautiful story between the woman who's like going away and she gets married, and
her husband has to carry her up the mountain because the matriarchy is real, y'all.
Yeah, okay.
Peg the matriarchy.
I don't think it's called pegging in that case.
Not important.
Anyways, so yeah, the other sister rebels. She gets a group of people together to try and stop this from happening. Obviously, that doesn't go well. And then the Jedi, who's there, has to make the choice to intervene and do the right thing, or to just let this horrible thing happen. And luckily... she makes the right choice. She
does. She gets involved. There's a fight. This is the one that feels the most like the Seven Samurai. In that, like, it's the, like, or the 4th episode of Mandalorian, or, like, it's lacking the, like, we're going to train the locals. But this is the most tropey, I think, of the stories within the Star Wars samurai Western kind of storytelling, where it's, like, the lone... but also the Duel has that as well. Although I think the Duel puts more twists on it than this episode does. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was fun. It was fine. This was like the very middle of the road episode for me.
Yeah,
I didn't dislike it.
Yeah, it's fine. It just wasn't super memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up was the Ninth Jedi. The Ninth Jedi was created by Production IG and stars Kimiko Glenn from Orange is the New Black, as well as a bunch of people, Masaoka and Simu Liu. Shang-Chi voiced a character in this. Yeah, I didn't know either. I didn't know any of these people. This cast is incredible. Incredible.
Like,
I follow Simu Liu on like so many things though, and he hasn't talked about this at all. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about it, but I just guess we need to be on Twitter more.
Yeah, probably.
No, we don't.
Everyone's happier when they're on Twitter more. This episode was about a group of Jedi being called to a orbital space station to receive lightsabers because
there are none left.
The lightsabers have been gone for many years. In this version of the Star Wars world, Jedi does not create his own or her own lightsaber, but rather it is created by a sabersmith. Mm-hmm. And so we see these Jedi land. They're waiting for this dude, and then it cuts down to the sabersmith, and his daughter, who wields a lightsaber pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he also knows how to use a lightsaber. Mm-hmm. And two men show up to kill them. And he gives her all of the lightsabers, all of the weapons, and tells her to leave. Ostensibly to give her a head start.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You're both fairly handy with a lightsaber, and they have guns. I feel like if you just fought them, you probably would have won.
Yeah.
And you didn't give her much of a head start.
No. Oh, God. It's like a 60-second head start.
It's not. No, it's not even. They shoot at her when she's, like, on the other side of the window.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really not much of anything.
But after that, it does become about her getting up to the space station, handing out the lightsabers, only to realize, because these are super cool lightsabers, that are the color they have to be for whoever's wielding them. Which, how have we never just done that in Star Wars? It's dope.
Yeah, well, so when she wields a lightsaber at first, it has no color. It's kind of like a gray see-through in the animation, which is really cool. And the more she wields it, the more color it gets to it.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, the lightsaber is a different color depending on whose hands it's in is such an interesting idea.
Yeah, like, I like the idea, because the way that we have it in Star Wars is interesting, right? Where, like, a Jedi goes into a cave, and the color of their lightsaber depends on what color kyber crystal reaches out to them.
Yeah.
And that color can influence what role you had within the Jedi Order, because it had to do with, like, what kind of Force user you were.
Yeah.
Which is why all the Temple Guard, have the same color and stuff like that. But it's also made this whole thing about, like, okay, well, now we have to explain why red lightsabers are red, so now it's all about bleeding the blade, and, there's this complicated history of why different color lightsabers exist. Mm-hmm. This makes it fun, where it's like, oh no, it literally is, if you pick up a lightsaber...
It's your connection with the Force.
It's a reflection of your soul.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, the color is literally a reflection of who you are, no matter what lightsaber you pick up. And I also think that it would mean that... But the problem with that would obviously be that if someone who doesn't have the Force picked up a lightsaber, it either wouldn't work or be gray, or... It doesn't work with canon, but it was really cool in this because it allows for that moment where they all ignite their lightsabers and they're all Sith, and you're like, oh, yeah, this is about to get crazy, and it does.
Yeah, that moment was so good.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I was fully invested in it. I was like, no!
I love this one.
Yeah, it was great.
The concept of a sabersmith, the different droids and the pilot droids was such a fun scene.
The droid who's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like,
well, but the moment has so much tension that the comedy of this droid that doesn't really want to move and it's just sipping oil, like it really worked for me. And I just thought, like, it had a beginning, a middle, and end. There was a huge twist, and then there was another twist on top of that where the Jedi was actually inside that droid the whole time.
Yeah,
like for something as short as it was, there were surprises and there were different scenes, and I just felt like this was one of the most it did the most world building and created its own little, like, universe of Star Wars, where, like, there's this story of, like, there are these Sith who are hunting down Jedi across the world, and I was like, oh, like, in terms of which one of these I would want to see turned into a larger series, this would be the one for me.
At the same time, though, I think it did a great job of just being its own secular story. Like, we talked about, 100%. Some episodes were like, well, it wasn't really a contained thing in itself. You kind of need more. This one, I wanted to see more, but I didn't need it to love and to understand what they were already giving me,
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think this one was really well done. I loved the characters in it. Like I said, I loved her lightsaber, like, gaining color as she used it more, and her connection to the Force grew. Like, I think that was so brilliant. yeah, I almost wish that was like how lightsabers worked, because it was very cool.
Yeah, it was. I really, really loved it. I thought it was a really strong choice. Next up was Toby. This one was created by Science Saru, the first of the 2 Science Saru ones. This is about a little droid boy who is not Astro Boy.
Not quite.
Who is not Astro Boy for copyright reasons. But definitely is influenced by a style of Japanese storytelling.
Yeah.
And the kindly professor that creates the droid that could destroy everything, but has a good heart and wants to do good. We've seen it. I thought that this was a really fantastic version of it. I really enjoyed this one.
This one was one of my favorites, yeah.
Yeah. We got to meet the villain of this, which was Darth Vader, if his design was based on the Destroyer from Thor, the first Thor movie.
Yeah.
There is like a thing, every time they do that like triangle face with the red up top, I'm like, oh, it's the Destroyer from...
Yeah, that's kind of just
the Thor thing.
What the image is. You can't really get away from it.
Especially since it's been in animation lately in What If. I think we've seen 2 different takes on that in What If. Right. So I'm like, it's just I've been seeing it lately.
It's there.
And Toby has to grow up, and he has to learn some lessons. Get his master killed by being foolish, because it's Star Wars.
That's not his fault.
Yeah, it is. He turns on the ship, which sends the call to the ship, and that's what draws them to the planet.
Oh.
His master literally dies because he's messing around with the spaceship.
Oh, okay. I missed that connection. Okay, yeah.
Him turning on the spaceship is what calls the guy down, and that's why his master dies.
Yeah, he messed up. Yeah, his master like puts him in a box in the corner, and then he when he comes out, the whole place is a wreck, and he's got to figure stuff out for himself. Which, it's a story that's been done before for sure, but I thought it was done really well, and. I felt for him. It was one of my favorite episodes for sure. It was just so wholesome, and he was so joyful. And him and his little droid crew that he has his one droid, and then he builds the others, and he's just got a whole little family going on. It was so sweet to me.
I think joy is an interesting thing to talk about there, right? Because I think Star Wars can be hard sometimes.
It can be a little bleak.
Well, and
in certain ways.
The premise of the Jedi is that they're so serene that sometimes they can feel a little bit lacking emotionally. I think that you feel that in the prequels, right? Like Anakin has these emotional outbursts, and the Jedi don't really know how to help him with that. And that's not to say that the Jedi don't feel joy or that they're never happy, but that they're more muted.
Yes, and you definitely, especially in the movies, you definitely get more of that, either dampening of emotion or, poo-pooing on emotion. I don't know. I was that's
poo-pooing.
That's the word that came to mind.
You know, in the Star Wars movie when they do the poo-pooing.
They're no, it's bad. I didn't, shut up.
The poo-pooing.
Leave me alone.
I have colitis right now, so I've been doing a lot of poo-pooing.
Wow. Hey, you're making jokes about it. That makes me happy.
Yeah. The one of the fun things about this episode, Kyle Chandler was the voice of Mitaka in this. Kyle Chandler is the coach from Friday Night Lights.
Oh, all right.
Kyle Chandler, also, if you've never seen the movie Game Night, watch Game Night. He's so good in it, and everything about Game Night's great. Literally everything about. I love that movie so much.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this one had a beautiful story, and I thought that the combat at the end when the Sith
fight was great.
Comes down to fight this little droid, I thought it was super well done. It, the tension was real, and it's one thing that I think is a testament to all these episodes is that they're never super self-indulgent in things. Nothing drags, right? Because they're shorts, they're quick, and they're fast, and they're just little bites, but they're good. And there's a lot there in a short amount of time. And I think especially that fight, there was so much in it that was great. But it didn't drag on for 10 minutes,
Yeah, I would love to see them play around with a droid Jedi.
Me too. I think that was so interesting, and there's a lot in these that are tropes and things that we have seen. Even in this episode, there are tropes that we know. But the the droid being a Jedi, I think, is something that could be explored and like could potentially be brought into canon somehow.
Well, I think that we're in this weird time in Star Wars where we've had this. We've been having, but it seems like it's getting stronger. Where the conversation about these droids seem to have personalities. Like, are they alive or not?
Oh yeah, especially in Solo. Like, I'm sorry, you cannot deny that
it's a big part of it.
I don't even remember the droid's name. I'm really bad with names.
L337.
And then when you put numbers in it, math. Anyways, L337 is like has such a strong personality. Like you can't tell me that would make for a boring. Like if they made an L337 show, I'm in.
Yeah,
I would watch that in a heartbeat.
It does get complicated though, right? Because droids are technically, and we're honestly, what's interesting about this is we are going to deal with this at some point. Probably not us, yes. Like our generation probably won't.
But like AI is the reflection.
Climate change doesn't destroy us. AI at some point will reach a point where you can't own it because it's sentient, and like droids feel like they've kind of gotten there at times, and it's like, well, how exactly does one own C-3PO? C-3PO is, you know what I mean? I think that like, who owns IG-88? You know what I mean? Like, ownership of a thing that has thoughts and emotions, and it just gets complicated. And I think that it would be fun to further complicate that by creating a droid character who is so alive that it feels the Force.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That it isn't cut off from that part of Star Wars. I think that would create... That would be a tough, like, moral conversation to have. In that it's a droid, but, like, it's also kind of as alive as anything else.
Yeah.
And...
all I can think of is number 5 is alive. You've seen Short Circuit, right?
No. What's
well,
Short
that
Circuit?
makes no sense then. It's a movie.
Oh.
Oh my god. It's like, I think, a 90s movie? Yeah, Short Circuit is like this weird looking robot thing, and he's called Number 5, 1986, okay. He's like, Number 5 is alive, and like he has to be helped by like...
oh my god, there's 2 of them.
I don't know if I've seen the second one, but like, that's just what that reminds me of. And I want it.
The hair, oh my god, babe.
I want it so bad.
Alright.
We need to watch this movie, because...
do we?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a timeless classic that everybody knows.
There's a Short Circuit. Oh, this from the New York Daily News. There's a Short Circuit remake in the works from Dimension Films. Because if they can remake it, they will.
Yeah. Nothing is original anymore.
All right, let's move on because we still have 3 to talk about. Next up is Studio Trigger's other entry into this, The Elder. The Elder is starring David Harbour.
What?
Yeah.
Who was he?
David Harbour was the Jedi.
The apprentice or the master?
No, the master. Jordan Fisher is the apprentice.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But David Harbour was in this, which is awesome.
That's so fun.
This is the story of 2 Jedi arriving on a planet because the elder statesman of the 2 Jedi feels a disturbance in the Force.
Oh, I thought they were patrolling.
They're patrolling the Outer Rim, but then he feels the disturbance in the Force, and that's why they go to this specific planet.
Gotcha.
And there they come across very short, but very, very dangerous, angry man who is a Sith, and they fight him, and it's fantastic. This one was great. This is like, we will say what our favorites were at the end, but in terms of what I wanted from this Star Wars Visions, this episode was closer to the kind of story that I was hoping we would get. Yeah. And I'm really happy that we got it.
Yeah, 1,000%. This one definitely felt the most like it could be... the characters felt the most interesting to me in I wanted to know their before and afters. You know, a lot of them... There were a lot of them where I was like, this is its own little story and it's great. And this one... felt like it was its own little story, but they left so much open-ended and nebulous, and I just... It wasn't in a negative way. It was like, I want more of this. I want to know who all 3 of them are, especially, like, the Sith, you know, who he was, what his story is, because he... they say, you know, like, if the Jedi was like, if I fought him in his prime, I don't think that this would have gone the same way. And it's, it was just super interesting to also deal with that concept of aging and power, and how I think especially in the dark side, obviously we see that with Sheev.
Sheev.
That name is so weird to me.
I love it. I love Sheev so much.
But that idea of like keeping power and immortality and that like relationship. So I think that this one like kind of like brushed on those things in a really interesting way.
Yeah, I really loved, one of my favorite things in Star Wars is the storytelling of Master and Apprentice and that relationship.
Which this one I thought was great. There wasn't a lot of that in the other episodes.
There wasn't, and that's what I was about to get to. Is like I didn't. These episodes really loved lightsabers.
Yeah.
Like there was a lightsaber in every single one. And like there was a lot of things from Star Wars that were treated with such care, but the Master and Apprentice relationship was one that I expected to see explored more than it was. A lot of our Force users in this were very solitary. Or were like the twins, where like they're equals, and they're there wasn't a lot of that relationship that I think is so central to Star Wars.
Yes,
the Master Apprentice relationship, partially because the downfall of the history of the downfall of the Sith creating the rule of two means that on the light side with the Jedi having this Master Apprentice relationship, and on the dark side having the Master Sith and this Apprentice Sith, that relationship exists on both sides of the coin of this kind of storytelling. And I think that it is so central to Star Wars. Ever since Obi-Wan and Luke in A New Hope back in 1977, we've had this central kind of relationship be at the core of so much of these stories. And so to have one of these really explore that in a way that I thought was really well handled, and the dialogue in this really was as good as the action was, and the fight scenes in this I loved, right?
Oh god, stunning.
The dialogue in this one was so striking to me and so deep and profound, and the way it talked about aging and about how power changes over time because of nature, and how Darkseid is trying to kind of hold on to power for as long as it can, but even it breaks against the tide of time. Just was such a deep and profound message that I just, if I were to go back and like watch them over and over again, I think that this would be the one that I would watch the most, because I think there's the most there for me to kind of learn about myself from.
Yeah, I think it was the most mature.
Yeah,
out of
for sure
these episodes,
especially thematically. Yeah,
100%.
And also visually, some of the violence in this one's a little bit rough.
Well, yeah, it's a lot, and it's they don't really like shy away from it. This one just kind of like, it was what it was, and I appreciate that about it.
Yeah. Also, I felt the animation in this was really strong.
Yeah.
The animation for the most part was really, really strong. I would say like there were some art styles that weren't for me as much as others.
Yeah,
I don't think there was any bad animation, but there's a couple times in the Tatooine Rhapsody one where a couple characters, some of the aliens looked weird in that, like really weird in that animation style.
For me, that one and the last episode, which we'll get to, I wasn't a huge fan of the art style of it, just myself personally.
But yeah, the Elder, this one had a depth storytelling wise that I just loved. I really was struck by.
Yeah, and I think that if you're looking to watch any one of these, that you want to have like a mature take on Star Wars that feels like the most adult, this is, I think, the one to watch.
This one could also straight up be High Republic canon.
Yeah.
You could like be.
It fits right in.
Yeah, it fits right into the stories that they're telling right now in the comics and in the books. Really well.
Yeah, like I think if I were to like recommend one of these to get you into watching the rest of them, it would either be the first one, the Duel, which I think was very smart, or it would be the Elder.
See, I don't think that would be how I would do it, because they are the one edge of it, right? I would try and shoot more down the middle with like the Ninth Jedi, or with I don't know.
See, for me, it's like
they are so different that it's hard. I would honestly recommend Toby, so that people would get into the rest of them, because they'd be like, oh, this is all going to be so heartwarming and wonderful. I feel joyful, so I'm going to watch them all, and then it would just be a descent into madness from there. So you just want
to ruin them for their day? Okay.
I want them to have a great start, and then get like, oh my god, wait. I'd be like, watch them in this order. Watch this one, Toby first, then Tatooine Rhapsody, and then I would just like progressively get darker.
Wow. No, I think if I were to recommend to anyone
turn you into the Sith.
to watch one of them to get into it, I think I would pick The Elder.
Interesting.
Yeah, for me
for older
personally.
audiences.
Sure. If I was recommending it to a kid, I think probably Toby would be the one.
Or this next one, Lop and Ocho. Actually, this one's pretty adult thematically. Lop and Ocho tells the story of a rabbit girl. Her name was Lop. She is adopted into a family, and her sister is Ocho, and the sister is adamant that this young refugee be adopted into the family after she escapes the local empire. And so they cut off her collar and they bring her into the family, and then 7 years pass, and it was so early to have such a huge time difference. But in the episode, it totally makes sense. And we meet Lop and Ocho again 7 years later, and they've gone really different paths. Lop is this like very, very warm, really, really caring person, and Ocho is very business-minded, I'd say.
Yes. Ocho ends up siding with the Empire because she believes that it is the best path forward for her family, and for her planet. Which, we know, we know because we know what the Empire is about. We understand that is not the case. But I think that, like you said, it's definitely more mature in its themes, because that is super complicated.
Well, and it really just comes down to family at the end. Like, everyone, like, the final sequence is really just, like, Ocho cuts out her father's one good eye. Yeah. And then Lop and her fight, and it comes down to the two of them, and Ocho gets away in the end. This was the one that this was the only time in any of them that I was like, this story is so big it felt a bit rushed.
Yes, I would agree with that one.
But
this needed more time.
It needed a little bit more time to bake, because I wanted more time with Lop and Ocho before the turn, because the turn is so good and the final fight is so good.
Yes, but I don't think we have a good sense of their prior relationships to one another.
But that's just because they didn't have time. Like,
exactly.
This was one where, like, this one could have been a movie. Yeah. And it would have been this one could be a really, like, if they wanted to just expand this into a movie, I would go see this in theaters. Like, I loved the animation. I love Lop. Like, really, really, as a character, I really loved her. Yeah. I loved the father character. I thought he was great. The design of him was so cool. He looked like the guy from Monster Hunter. He looks like the general with the, like, it's just a very similar design. Yeah. But I felt like they did such a good job here of shortening this. It does feel rushed, but what is rushed there is also really good, so I'm not complaining too much. Yeah. Because the story here was really strong.
Yeah, I think we can both just agree that we wanted more from it.
100%.
Because, like, the roots were there and were so solid.
And the fight choreography in this one was really cool.
It was great, yeah.
I really liked... I didn't really understand how the girl's weapon worked.
Yeah, me neither. Yep. But...
the, like, weird long nunchucks. But I didn't care, because I was like, this looks dope. Also,
it looked very cool.
When Lop ignites the lightsaber... like that shot with the cherry blossoms, like, and look, the cherry blossoms in Japan, stunning, one of the coolest images, and like, Japanese artists have done for centuries such a good job of representing how beautiful that is. I was so happy to see that brought into Star Wars. It was so cool in that fight sequence, and they did a remarkable job of that.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really stood out to me about this one as well, is that is the I don't know, I don't know what the right word is, but
is it poo-poo?
No, it's not that. But stop it. It was it was like having a main female character who doesn't need to be, like, blunt and a hard ass and, like, boss babe 1,000% of the time. Does that make sense? Like, she was softer.
Well, the sister is that, right? And she becomes evil.
Sure. But
Being
I mean,
a boss
a lot
babe
of
makes
times,
you evil. That's what Clarks is saying.
No. A lot of the times in, like, media, when we have our strong female, like, women leads, don't get me wrong, I love it and I love to see it. But I think giving representation to, like, the quieter, more reserved, not like the star of the show all the time, but is the protagonist. I think that was like really nice to see. It doesn't always need to be an aggressive or like A-type personality as your lead. I think that first of all, we haven't really talked about the diversity in the like male-female in these shorts. There was, it definitely wasn't male dominated. It wasn't female dominated.
I really felt like that was one of the strongest things, right?
Yeah.
It was like the storylines really. I don't feel like women felt sidelined across this. It really felt like they were. But it also didn't feel like it was like we're only telling stories about women because like it's like a political message.
Yeah.
It just felt so much like, oh no, this is just the protagonist of this story, and then this is the
protagonist
of this story.
And it was nice. It was really, really nice and refreshing to see. And that's why I think like Lop stood out to me so much, because most of the time, like I said, when you have your strong female lead, it's that like go-getter A-type, like a bunch of them, get that like blunt haircut because they're like a hard ass now.
Or they're like brooding and
dark and moody, whereas Lop was just like lovely and soft and had such a big heart. And I think that having more heart in characters it's refreshing. It's refreshing to see, and I would love to see more of that, I think, in like male characters as well.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I 100% agree with that. I think that's one of those things where like the disappointment around, and I don't necessarily always 100% agree with it, but I do I don't disagree with it, you know what I mean? Like I think that there's levels to which Finn in the sequels is underused. And there's things that I do love about the storyline of Finn, but I also wish that he'd gotten more. But, in terms of the character in the first movie, if he had been the Jedi, getting to see the story of like a joyful black man be a Jedi would have been, I think, really, really wonderful. And I'm careful saying that because I don't want to start a fight because I don't hate what we got. But at the same time, I'm also like, when I hear these rumors of a Finn show, I get really excited because I think that John Boyega as Finn was such a wonderful thing, and I would jump at the chance to watch more of it. Yeah, and for him to be the lead, you know what I mean? Like I would absolutely be there day one. And I think they should just give him a movie or 3.
I also think that Star Wars has a little bit of a problem with. Because the Jedi, we talked about this a little earlier, because the Jedi are a little bit suppressed and like rigid, that you don't like having those characters that have that heart and that warmth really is a breath of fresh air in this universe, and I would love to see more of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. These shorts weren't scared for the Jedi to be a little bit happier.
Yeah, it was nice.
The last one to get into was Akakiri. Which is the story. This was definitely the bleakest. This is what if Anakin's story was even darker than it already is. The Akakiri is the story of a Jedi. Oh, actually, you know what? This is like what if we did the darkest timeline for Obi-Wan Kenobi. With Satine, Satine Kryze. Oh boy, y'all! If you haven't seen Clone Wars, go watch Clone Wars. Satine and Obi-Wan's story is that's the true love story. Still a better love story than Twilight.
Everything is.
I'm sorry, you're 117 and you're in my bedroom at night?
Question mark?
What?
Yeah,
just makes it
so weird.
Oh, yeah. Why are you in my bedroom right now? Please, leave.
It's not weird at all.
But this is the story of a Jedi going to a planet to help his former friend, who he definitely did not have feelings for, deal with her aunt who killed her father because, surprise, Sith, and also happens to look like if Ganon was a woman and had a lightsaber and gold armor. It was dope design, honestly, in terms of Sith. I really like the character.
Yeah.
And she was
terrifying.
Yeah, she tricks him into killing the lady that he showed up for. And in order to bring her back to life, he and evil Sith lady, whose name I think was Masago, was the Sith. I just have their names in front of me, and I don't know who's who. But he has to become a dark side user and they become a dyad and bring her back to life, and it was dark.
Yeah, and it was definitely not something I was expecting, because you know, you get to that final fight, and they talk about, they have like this guy's been having flashbacks, right? He's been having visions about like killing someone.
Visions,
like,
not flashbacks.
Yeah, sorry, visions that of him killing someone, and it's like it's affecting his everyday life. Like it seems to like paralyze him, and
much like it did Anakin, right? Like Anakin was, you know, not paralyzed in the moment, but was severely influenced by these visions and dreams, which is something like it's very interesting how the Force works in that way. Because you'd be better off, honestly, just not knowing. Well, but that's always the story of prophecy, right? Like, do prophecies actually exist, or do prophecies actually get fulfilled, or do we put ourselves in the path to fulfill them because we hear them?
Yeah, exactly.
It's, you know, it's the same thing with the prophecy in Harry Potter, or, you know.
And that's what the like, I think it was the other guy's master or friend who was like, if you go, you will succumb to the dark side, or whatever it is. And he's like, no, I won't. And then he doesn't. He's like, no, I'm going to say no, until he realizes that he's killed this woman who he very clearly loves. And it's like, oh, it was one of those self-fulfilling things where because you were there and because you helped him, because all the things fell into line, then yes, now you have joined the dark. It was so dark. I was like, oh my god.
This one, to me, I kind of wasn't into it, because it felt like it was plotting a very, like, I was like, okay, I get it. He's gonna be tempted, and then the last moment he's not, and then he's gonna win, and like, where it just, I was like, okay, they're ending on sort of a very like basic Jedi versus Sith story.
Yeah.
And then then he does go dark side, and I was like,
oh.
And then it was over, and I was like, oh, there's no more episodes? And I was like, this was a very odd choice. In my opinion, it was an odd choice to go last.
Yeah.
In the order. Because I was like, what?
Yeah, I would have reversed Lop and Ocho, you know, if it wasn't rejigging them a ton. But, like, yeah, it was so bleak to leave it. I was like... It
was like, because it ended on, and... Because we weren't like watching these like one at a time. We were watching through.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of ended, and we'd been watching them all, and like some of them we were having a good time, right? And we're eating ice cream, and it was joyful. And then it ended with this pit in my stomach, and I was like,
you're like, okay,
I hurt.
Alrighty.
Like yeah. And I think that's a testament to the fact that I think the episode was handled really well. I really liked Senshu and Kamahachi, the two like guides that they met, and the storytelling. I liked the storytelling moment of like, sometimes you need, you know, we need other kinds of people to accomplish this.
Yeah,
they have these very particular skills, and they're good at it, and we're going to pay them well for it. And you know, they're not coming with us to the end. They did their job, and obviously they do come back, but I appreciated the storytelling of that, and that they were kind and brought that back. Are you looking at the fact that George Takei?
I was like,
George Takei voiced one of those guides.
I had no
truly
idea.
One of the gems of humanity.
Yeah. Oh, what a god.
I'm so glad I got to see him on Broadway in Allegiance. It was you know.
I'm so jealous. He seems like the best person.
I know.
Like, anyway.
Oh my! What a star. And just like, it seems to be a good person.
Oh yeah, like
depending on what side of the political spectrum you fall on, but for our side, surprise, we're left.
Yeah, could you guess? No, I follow like him on Facebook, and so I get a lot of his. Yeah, he definitely shares and doesn't mind sharing, and I think it's really nice to see.
His Twitter, he doesn't care.
Yeah, it's basically the same. His Twitter and Facebook are like the same kind of thing.
But also, the lead Jedi in this was voiced by Snake Eyes, Henry Golding.
Didn't know that either.
Yeah, the cast of this, stacked.
Yeah, solid.
Stacked. Also, for season 2, I will voice I'll whistle to voice a droid. I don't care. Can I please be in season 2 of this? This is so good.
Yeah, seriously.
But, Akakiri, I wouldn't have put it last, but I did think it was very successful and well done.
Yeah.
I thought it was very good, and like an incredible dark like storyline. The only complaint I have about it is that
it just left you.
I didn't want that to be the end of this season.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
It just felt like a weird place to end it.
Yes. Yeah, I think actually maybe ending with something like The Village Bride, even though it was not like my favorite and kind of middle of the road, I think that it like kind of like leaves off on the right note.
I would actually have ended with Toby if I was creating the order.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't have had the Duel be first.
Really?
Yeah, I think the Duel. I think that I would have started with something that was a little bit more like all ages palatable.
Okay.
I think
like
I would have like
Ninth
led
Jedi?
up. Maybe the Ninth Jedi, something like that. But I think I would have ended with Toby, because Toby to me really is. It ends on the most like hopeful and like future looking of notes to me of all of them. I think that would have been a nice end. It's interesting that I would have flipped it with the other Science Saru created short.
Yeah.
From the same studio.
Yeah.
I also think we didn't mention Lop and Ocho was from Geno Studio, but
oh yes.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that Toby was just the kind of like that ending. I think would have sent me off on the rest of my day in a way that, and I obviously these are probably meant to be watched individually, but like that wasn't how we consumed them, right? And the nice thing I will say about this is that even in the ones that I didn't absolutely love, because I liked something about all of them, right? I always wanted the next one to start playing right away. Like this was so, I was enjoying it and I was so in it that I always wanted the next one to get.
And they
going.
were so diverse. It was like, I can't wait to see what I get next.
Yeah,
it's like a box of chocolates and you can get this one.
Life is like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, no, that's really what it felt like. And they were, they were all still chocolate, so they were great. But like, my favorite was like, I don't know, the Toffee Crunch one.
Speaking of that, I said we'd say our favorites at the end. What was your favorite?
I am having a really hard time deciding, if I'm being honest.
That's fair.
You know what? You go first.
I think my favorite's the Ninth Jedi. I think in terms of like the story that it told, the world building, the fight sequences, the characters, it was the one that for me, the Elder is really close. So is the Duel, honestly. Like those three are definitely my top three.
Yeah.
But the Ninth Jedi to me was just such a cool, unique Star Wars story that, could be part of the High Republic and be an interesting part of or slightly before High Republic kind of canon. I don't know. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought that it was very cool while also being very emotional and heartfelt. And despite the fact that I think that the dad's plan sucked, everything about the episode just really worked for me. The lightsabers in it were so cool, and like the way the lightsabers were treated by all the characters in it was with such reverence that I really appreciated and loved. And
yeah,
that one just stuck out to me. And when I look back, like I might watch The Elder the most because I think there's the most there to mine emotionally.
Yeah, I
think
agree with that.
The Ninth Jedi is the one that it just had such high highs and such low lows, and it just kind of had everything.
Yeah. And
the dialogue in it was really, really cool and fun.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Also, we never mentioned, but her droid, the Kara's droid.
Yeah.
The little, like, ball on the can with the two arms.
Yeah.
Was adorable. I love droid design in Star Wars. I always love my droids. And, I've got my R2-D2, and I've got all my droids over there. And, so droid design to me is really important in Star Wars, and I really loved all the different droids in that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I am having a really hard time deciding... Because, like, The Elder would be my favorite in terms of, like, rewatchability and growing that, like, storyline and those characters. And then, but then I said, like, Lop really stood out to me as a character, and I love that character so much. And then, like, Toby was just so, like, happy. Like, I don't know.
I get it.
Yeah, but I think for me, for my favorites, it's between, yeah, okay, in terms of, like, what I enjoyed the most, I think it was probably Toby.
Okay, that's totally fair.
Yeah, I think Toby was my favorite. It's just hard because I'm like, okay, but I also really love this about this one or this, like, I don't know, they're all so different that I'm like, I don't know.
Ultimately, I think what we can say is that this was... you know what? I'll say this, and you can agree if you want to.
All right.
This exceeded my expectations in terms of how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
This went above and beyond the experience that I thought I was going to get out of 9 short anime episodes. There's stuff in here that really stuck with me and was beyond cool to me.
Yeah.
And so I will honestly say, like, this really was more than I could have possibly expected, and I just hope they do more. Like, now, like, I'm like, oh, please, season 2, or if not a season 2, expand on one of these. Give them like a series order and let them make an anime, and really go for it, right? Because it just really was, some of the best Star Wars we've gotten.
Yeah.
And that's hard to say, because, like, I also really love Bad Batch, and I'm there. We're getting good Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
we're
seriously.
getting really good Star Wars right now, and I can't complain. Like, we've this has been a good year for Star Wars TV shows. Mandalorian season 2 was great. Then Bad Batch was great in my opinion, and this has been great. And I just am like, I'm a lucky boy. I'm very happy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this definitely exceeded my expectations as well. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I'm also not a huge anime watcher. Like, the only real anime I've watched is, like, Full Metal Alchemist. But I enjoyed all of these for what they were, and obviously some I liked more than others, but there was definitely something in each of them.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
That was just fantastic. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed them as well.
All right, I have no idea how long this was, but if you sat through all of it, thank you so much. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button, because it's there for that. And the algorithm god is hungry. We must feed her. Leave me in comments down below. We'll take it for her. The algorithm god, whose name is...
I have to name the algorithm god?
Yep.
Sylvanas.
So, wow, that's... Okay, cool.
Pretty sure that's from a video game.
I think it is as well.
Yep.
If you want to watch us play video games, thanks for the segue, babe. We play those over on Twitch. I'm over at twitch.tv/nerdynightly.
I'm over at twitch.tv/ClarisDakaris. And don't forget, you can also support us over on Fan House. You can get early access, behind the scenes, cosplay, shit posting, whatever the hell we feel like sharing. It's an adventure, for sure. And
y'all, if you've been missing my streams, I will be back Sunday night with a stream. We're going to play some Pokemon Black before next week. The night streams are back next week because my job is over. So get ready. We're going to play Horizon Zero Dawn. Oh. So, what?
Okay. I thought that you were going to play that before Forbidden West came out, but...
No, people... Oh.
We'll
deal with that later. If you're still watching this video, this is how all of our videos end. If you never make it to the end, we start planning other things live in the videos. It just
happens. Things just come out.
And I don't edit these down at all, so, you know, whatever.
Thanks for watching.
Do something nerdy tonight.
Bye.
Bye.